myself. Hey, my name is David Olanipekun. I'm the host and creator of Let's Talk Creatives, set up to engage with creative artists through conversation around the world. We have a special guest, Emma. If you'd like to introduce yourself for the people watching and listening.
Hi guys, thanks for joining us. My name is Emma Leone Palmer and I'm a painter.
Lovely, lovely. So, Emma, we're in this COVID-19 situation with the lockdown. How has it affected you as an artist?
Oh my goodness, it's a huge question to answer, isn't it? I mean, I think for me, I'm an extremely sensitive person. That probably is why my work is the way it is. So it was impossible to completely not be affected emotionally by, if you like, the energy that's surrounding us all at the moment. I'm usually in my studio on my own anyway, painting all the time. So, you know, it's that old cliche, all of us artists, we're isolated in our own little bubbles. So in that sense, nothing's going to change. But somehow, as this massive meteor came down of COVID and just suddenly it was boof. You know, you're sitting there in the studio and I was totally stumped. You know, I was like, nothing can affect me. I'm just in the studio. I don't really have to see anybody anyway. But I couldn't paint. I was frozen for quite a while. It was like it almost felt a bit vacuous, you know, painting at that time when this enormous thing happening which is affecting people in such a horrendous way. And painting is always a place where I go to organise my thoughts and connect and put my energies onto the canvas. And because it was like everything was just being shaken up so dramatically, and I was feeling such a vast sense of emotions, you know, from overwhelming kind of love to really crazy sort of sadness and grief. I didn't know quite how to organise it, and I couldn't focus enough to be able to paint to put it in that place. So paintings got kind of half finished at that time. I had to sort of step away and reset myself. You know, as artists, we often work towards deadlines. We've got exhibitions, we've got commissions, we've got blah, 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 blah. And especially for myself, I write often a kind of brief for myself, which I'm working towards. It's helped me schedule myself to push for something. And that's all being thrown up into the air and not actually knowing how to, you know, when it was going to end or whatever. I was just thrown. So I go to the studio, I'm in a really happy place, got my music on, and it got to the point where I just started staring. I was just staring at my canvases and going, what am I trying to say? Because what I was trying to say 2 days ago is very different from what's going on with me now. And I couldn't connect it up. So I just had to sort of step away from that for a while. And that was very hard for me to step away from the work, because I'm always painting. I'm always in the work. I'm always working things out on that canvas. So it was odd to step away. It was odd because I felt a lot of guilt as well. I'm not painting. Therefore, it's like, who am I suddenly as well? I don't know if other artists have that, but for me, if I'm not creating, I don't feel like myself. So it was quite odd, but also a very good period of time for reflection and to reorganize this crazy shit that's happening, to figure out looking at these emotions and how I'm relating to the world and how I'm then going to present again to move forward.
It's affected loads of people, loads of artists I've spoken to. It's affected them in loads of many different ways. So yeah, a lot of people have been affected by this emotionally. You know, some people have, you know, it's given them time to reflect. Obviously, this whole situation, for me, it does feel like a ginormous reset button has been pressed, you know, on planet Earth. You know, so it's it's quite bizarre how simultaneously this is affecting people all over the world. You know, because I'm speaking to artists all over the world, and it's affecting them precisely the same way. It's quite interesting.
It is interesting, and I think tied up with it is a massive amount of guilt too. You know, how can we be worried about our exhibitions or our income, or if our work actually means anything when there's people who are really struggling and suffering? So there was that question, you know, that I think has been certainly through the conversations I've had with other artists. Maybe the meaning of art, of course, that moves on to the next thing of like how important it actually is to keep doing what we're doing. So, but yeah, totally a point of reflection, a button being pushed, like you say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a time to just to appreciate what you have, appreciate what you've got. I'll say more so like, definitely like you have to appreciate, you know, it's a massive, you know, you definitely have to appreciate what you have, you know. You know, if you live in a house, you know, you got a roof over your head, you have a fridge that has food, you have a fridge that actually has food in it.
Yeah.
That's like a man, you know. Some people like
and you know, when it's harder to get certain things because you're making less journeys out, the taste of them becomes better almost, doesn't it? You know, in so many different ways, not just food wise. I mean, I had a delivery of paint come at the beginning of the lockdown, and it was like Christmas Day for me. It was like somebody was sending me this great big lifeline of like, thank God I've got all this lovely paint that I can keep playing with. Unfortunately, my great big canvas order didn't arrive yet because it was all stuck in Italy. But you know, I'm lucky enough, you know, to have the materials to keep playing with. I've got my studio is a mile down the road, so I've been able to keep going to the studio. I'm not stuck in a flat. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful. So there's a lot of artists out there who can't get to their studios. Oh, I couldn't imagine that. You'd make a way. You'd be creating in your kitchen table or whatever. You'd make a way. I mean, I said to one of my managers recently, just, you know, don't worry about me. You know, if everything keeps going tits up, you can find me if I'm in a cardboard box drawing with old cigarette butts on the floor. That will be me. If you're an artist, you'll just keep creating because you just have to. Load.
No, but definitely, if you're an artist, you're gonna find a way to create. You know, everyone I've spoken to, they found different ways to create. So yeah, it's really awesome. It's really interesting. Obviously, it's a bizarre time for me. I've never experienced anything quite like this before in my lifetime.
Nobody has, and I hope we don't experience it again.
Yeah, definitely. But I think at the same time, on that point, we should prepare for it in case it does happen again. So yeah. You know what? Let's go to one of your pieces. So you have the neon series.
Yeah, I don't really like to call it the neon series. It's called Afterglow.
People,
I think they grab on just the idea of neon. It never was about that.
Yeah, okay.
It was more, you know, interesting light source and a kind of more allegorical than that. Yeah, sort of like a metaphor to thought processes and energies and how we are in our internal worlds and as individuals in the darkness, if you like. So it's a bit like an internal landscape, and this light's moving around. It's highlighting different areas of sensation and connection.
So how long does it take you to produce each of these pieces?
Oh, a horrible question. And one I get a lot. Making.
Sorry.
How long is the piece of string? And Damien will say twice the distance from the middle to the end. How long does it take? Quite honestly, I'd probably say I do one a month properly. that's not totally on the brush. When I do the painting, it's kind of like a gush. But obviously with the way that I've been treating the oil paints, there's a lot of glazing going on, and I have to wait for drying. For certain pigments dry at different rates, and there's a lot of experimentation with how I've managed to get that effect and get that depth of light, get that glow, get colours as well really, really bright. Pinks especially, they need a lot of glazing, so they pop. So I've got to practice a bit of patience, which is difficult for an impatient person. You know, there's a lot of sort of sitting and looking and feeling and reflecting and deciding on, you know, looking how I'm going to construct the piece in its different layers, how I will tackle it. So quite honestly, I'd say 1 a month, possibly 2, depending on how it goes. But each one has its own characteristics, and sometimes it's battle, and sometimes it just flows and it paints itself.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you use real life models, or do you take pictures, or how do you get the reference?
Well, I couldn't paint it from life because it would be in the pitch black. So when I was living and working in Italy, about 10 years ago now, I think about 10 years, I started using photography with my as to get reference materials. So my reference images. So I would use the model and photograph them in a period of time. So it was capturing moments within that period of time without actually orchestrating something. So it wasn't setting up a photo shoot, it was documenting a episode, documenting a sort of theatre or a particular emotion. And I found that actually I could get truer work from that than actually if I had someone in front of me, like I use the phrase, like a bowl of fruit in a neck. So it's this particular way of working. I've used it for myself. You know, when I do self-portraits, often I will rig up a camera either on a tripod or tied to my easel, and with a remote control, and I would take photographs. That's how I would explore that. Often I'd have a mirror in front of me, so I've got something to react. You know, I'm looking at myself and I'm kind of, you know, doing things or whatever. When I painted a picture of my dad, as in a self-portrait after my father died, that was an afternoon making myself cry, thinking about him and documenting the photos to then work from. So that has led throughout my work, whether it's the paint play, which is you know, having a great big old play session, and what comes of it. You know, it's not pre-organized in that sense. It's the person's essence in whatever way they feel like comes out. It's a bit like when you put a fancy dress on and you it encourages you to be in that certain way. The photographing for the Afterglow reference material is the same, but it was a different treatment of how I used photography. So I would do it in complete darkness. Totally exciting, rather voyeuristic and wonderful. And there's something quite magical about it. Being in the darkness as well. It's like a big blanket, it's quite comfortable. I think people are freer with their nudity in the darkness, which is great. I don't like clothes in my work at the moment, so it's about really kind of letting yourself go, and you know, letting your expression come out.
Yeah.
When different feelings come out from that, you know, whether it's somebody in a certain way touching a certain area of their body, or it's a certain feeling of nurture. There's been feelings where I felt like I've just wanted to let my insides out, you know, like my skin is on fire type of feeling, and it's very much about that sort of sensuality. So yeah, I do all of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos, and then I probably spend a week looking through them, feeling and thinking, how do I relate to this particular image? What does it make me feel? Is there something here that I feel like I need to say with this? And how will it translate into paint? How exciting a journey of expressing this through the paint. Can I get that energy out? That and that's how the paintings come about.
Nice. Like where do you get your source of inspiration from? Who or what inspires you?
That is a horrible question. That's like,
oh, come on. Give me a break.
I hate it. I hate it. It's like saying fall in love with a certain person. My God, you just have to be open to life, and it's all around you. I think the inspiration is everywhere. I mean, this slowing down thing for me with the whole COVID thing, I found myself watching a leaf open on my bird of paradise plant a couple of weeks ago, and the colour and the translucency of this light coming through this leaf. Sounds a bit hippy dippy, but it was awesome. There is inspiration everywhere. You can find inspiration in your blackest, darkest thoughts. You just have to spend some time experiencing them and looking at them and pulling them apart and thinking about them, and you'll find something somewhere.
Okay, cool.
So I can't really say it. I find it from one particular thing. Yeah. Just be alive and be inspired. Jeez.
And that's not a horrible question. It's not a horrible question, man. Can't give me a break. Come on. Yeah. Yes. So, you studied. Where did you study your art, or are you self-taught, or?
I studied art. Yes, I did my foundation at Kingston University, and I had a brief period over at Bath Spa, and then I decided to continue at the Surrey Institute of Art and Design, which is now called, what is it called now? The UCA. Yeah.
Okay.
UCA. Also, though, for me, it taught me about art in the wide sense of the word, maybe writing a lot about art and, intellectualizing it. And it didn't necessarily teach me about technique or painting as such. So I came out of art school thinking I had to be a certain way, but it didn't teach me how to be an artist. It just taught me how to have curiosity, I think you could say, curiosity to the idea. So technique came with a lifelong passion for painting, mark making, the curiosity to my medium, which pushes me daily in learning about what I'm using, and even if it's looking at pigments and things like that and their history, I find absolutely fascinating. So I don't think you can get taught it. I think you can just you've got to kind of pick up things from different places and put them together. And then as far as learning how to be an artist, I did that just through trying everything and learning that way from my mistakes. Not that I would call them mistakes, but you learn as you go along, and some point you realise that you know quite a lot, and then you can start telling other people and helping them. I wish you'd done this. I wish I'd done this. I wish I had in me when I was younger to say, try this out and ditch that. But everyone's journey is different. So as far as studying, that just comes from being curious, I think.
Yeah.
I learnt a lot when I went to Italy. I didn't go there to study. I didn't study there. Actually, I studied language at the University per Stranieri, but I kind of got reintroduced to that classical side again, which I was told was very, very uncool when I was in the London art scene before, when I'd come out of university. And it was all, I was squeezing paint out with syringes and doing stuff like this. This is from my Morocco time. I spent some time over in Morocco with a diplomat and a mosaic artist. So yeah, I was squeezing things out with syringes and sanding things back and collaging, and it all fitted in very nicely. And I did quite a lot of art fairs here, and it was all going quite well, but it didn't really talk to me. And I learn how to re-engage with my classical side and my emotional side, I think, with what my soul really wanted to do when I was in Italy, with all that lovely figurative stuff. So that was a learning experience, but it wasn't a structured teaching type of thing.
Okay, cool. I read somewhere you worked in Raphael's old studio.
Yeah, that's right. I was given this amazing studio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's an artist called Lorenzo Fonda, who is also an opera director, and he met me through a friend of a friend when I was living in Perugia, and I was basically just walking around sketching the whole time, and I worked in a bar, and somehow he connected, and he really liked what I did, and he liked it so much so he offered me a part of his studio within his building, which was this wonderful sort of semi-derelict building. It was Raphael's old studio. So yeah, I was painting in this incredible space overlooking these rolling Umbrian hills. Yeah. And then at lunchtime we'd eat lots of pasta and drink lots of wine, and then there would be grappa, and then there'd be a snooze, and then there'd be opera, and then it was just dreadfully hard work. I didn't get all that much painting done in the afternoon, and then put on a stone.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good times.
Good stuff, good stuff. So, so you did a celebrity portrait of Richard E. Grant. If you could talk.
I did. Yeah, I did that on Portrait Artist of the Year. Who else have I painted? I painted. I'm really bad with names, and I've totally just forgotten a couple of the other celebrities I painted. One of them, oh God, what was it? Paul Rogers. I painted Paul Rogers. That was probably one of the first ones I did. And it went off to a celebrity auction to raise money. And I can't remember what it sold for, but it sold for a decent amount. And then when the buyer came to pick up the painting, somebody had actually stolen it. So I don't know what happened to it after that. It was a bit of a shame.
Oh, nuts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Paul Rogers was off free, and he's also sung with Queen when they've done their kind of not tribute acts, because they're still a group, but he pretended to be Freddie Mercury type of thing in the Queen thing that went through a few years ago.
Nice. So do you read any like art books, or are you reading any particular type of books?
I read a lot. Strangely enough, when the COVID thing came, I hadn't read for a while, and then that first couple of weeks, so I just couldn't paint. I just binge read a whole load of really bad, like murderer books. Cop Catching a Murderer, Karen Slaughter, I think it was, and then. Well, I mean, I'm reading. I've got it here actually. I've put it downstairs. Was it?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, have you read that one?
I haven't.
No, The Beautiful Dream of Life, a novel by Domingo Zapata, and I quite like it. It's a bit. It's kind of sexy, and it's a bit like a modern picture of Dorian Gray. So yeah, I'm on page 30 or something like that. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Oh, cool. Are you binge watching like any TV shows or movies as well? Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe no. Of course, I watch some TV shows. There's always The Walking Dead. Quite honestly, I wish I'm prepared for zombies better than I am for a virus. I think most of us are. No, TV shows. Nothing come off the top of my head. I'm not really a massive TV watcher.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Cool.
Read books and daydream and sort of mince about.
Nice. Yeah, this is a bizarre time, So, have you been in touch with any other artists yourself, or anyone?
Yeah. I've reached out to a few artists. It's interesting how you mentioned earlier that you've heard a few similarities in how the artists have responded to your conversations here, and I found the similar thing. This a kind of feeling like the carpet's being pulled out from underneath us. You know, we strive really hard to get where we are as artists. It's a bit like gambling the whole time, and often it only comes to us a little bit when we're a little bit older. You know, we've worked really hard to get to a certain place, and then suddenly all the exhibitions are all not happening and whatnot. And you know, we always live with this very knife edge, precarious type way. So a kind of guilty feeling fucked off with the whole thing. Is similar, I think, with a lot of artists. I think a lot of artists as well have felt the energy shift with how it's changed. It's almost like being like a grief. So the beginning is, you know, real grief, and then how we're changing through that processing of what's happened. Yeah. What can I say? I love reaching out to other artists because I spend a lot of time in my studio. You know, I'm not in a communal studios or anything like that. I pick up the phone a lot. Might be walking to the studio and I'll pick up the phone and talk to a friend and say, you know, what's going on in your practice and how is this affecting you, and you know, keeps the inspiration going as well.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I agree with that. Yeah. So, what advice would you give to any up-and-coming artist or young individual that wants to get into art?
I would say, I don't think you get into art, just bloody do it. You know, you are. I think that's something that I suddenly realised. It's like, I don't want to be an artist. I am an artist, and just do it and be put it first, prioritise it, be selfish, say no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. Create some time, stick to it. Fucking love it. Just, you know, revel in it, roll in it. You know, put your heart there. Don't try and fit in with anything. I think when you try and fit in with something, it always looks stale and it always will look contrived. Just do what makes you happy, makes you want to get up in the morning, you know, makes you feel excited and curious and full of life, or full of sadness or full of joy. It makes you feel something. If you feel nothing about it, it's going to be a nothing piece of work. That's how I come up my work anyway. I have to feel it. So for you guys who want to get into art, you don't have to do anything. You just have to make work, and then make more work, and then make more work, and then somewhere along the line you've made a whole body of work, and you found a style, or you're developing different lines of inquiry, and naturally the more you put it out there and the more you're discoverable, the more it will align with other people, and somehow it all comes together. And also, don't be scared to ask. I would say you know, the channels are open more so than they were for me when I was probably at the beginning stages. You know, you've got social media, you've got so many ways that you can contact people. So just be really bloody jammy. If I get a message from somebody saying, you know, can I have an interview with you? I'm like, yes. If I've got a student, if they're 15 or something, and they would say, oh, can I come visit you at the studio? I say yes. I mean, don't ask, don't get. Be jammy, ask people.
Yeah.
You know, people like to be flattered. Flatter someone, say, look, I love your work. Can I, don't suppose I could have a half an hour conversation with you on the phone? I just would love to hear your opinion. You know, you can make that happen. Don't wait for it to come to you, because it really won't. It will not come to you. It will not land in your lap. And you just be jammy and go out and ask for things. Yeah.
Yeah, I was attracted by your Afterglow series, because I just felt something was there. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I could tell that obviously you're clearly a passionate artist.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, lovely.
Okay, come on. Something was there. Give me. What was it? What did you see? What did you feel? What made it different for you?
Passion. You know what? So I just felt passion. I felt the passion.
Yes.
I felt the passion.
Gold
I
star.
felt like this person like is super expressive, and it's like I need to talk to this person because they clearly love art, you know. So I just want to reach out to you and just talk to you about like you as a creative individual, and like produce something that can inspire other people, because I know there are people watching this. I know shitloads of people like watch you and look up to you and are inspired by you, and they'll love to hear you talk and express yourself about your process and what you do, you know, and like how you're dealing with this current situation as well. So
Yeah.
you know, this podcast is, you know, it is important to me, and hopefully it's you know, it helps other people, and it, you know, it's something that could be important to other people as well. So
Yeah. Good for you for doing it.
oh, thank you, thank you.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know, if you can create something that makes somebody question something, feel something, connect to something, or process something, or just change them in a minuscule way for even for half a second, then you're doing something, and you're putting it out there in the world. So, you know, that's great, and it brings me a huge amount of joy to hear that you feel energetic and passion and the life force that comes out of my work, because I put every single cell of me into that.
Yeah, I can tell.
It comes off. Yeah, feedback from people is so important. Just because it all looks like I'm all way up there in lights, I'm actually a very solitary being. So I love feedback. I love it. Send me your messages. Give me your responses. Don't send me an emoji. Jesus Christ, you're artists. You're people who have thoughts and brains. Don't send me an emoji. Send me something real, and I will definitely get back to you.
Yeah, definitely. This podcast is my emoji.
Yeah.
It's my emoji to the world.
Well, it's so much more than an emoji.
Definitely. Yeah, it's an expression, it's a thought, it's me speaking out, it's me, you know, reaching out, you know, to the public. But yes.
We got to get you doing some stuff. You should come to my studio sometime when all this virus nonsense goes away, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll be up for that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going through my talking notes. We've covered quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm probably waffling for too long here now. You got me started. I'm gonna start gushing. You're gonna like tap me. Otherwise, I'll just
Okay, cool. So yeah, for people watching, where can people like find you? Where can people learn more about you?
Well, obviously, I think Instagram is probably the most easily accessible visual platform at the moment. So I post random things on that. I'm trying to get a bit more regular at posting and maybe scheduling the right time slots or whatever. What a load of nonsense. So it's just, I don't know, find me on Instagram. You can find my work on Castle Galleries, for fine art even. They've got the whole Afterglow catalogue there, which is probably the best thing to see. All of the images, bar the new ones I've got at the studio, are on my website, so you can look there. There's still work for sale, so you know, just have a look online. You can contact me, or you can contact Castle Fine Art. I've got some work with Hatch, which is a print agent. That's a few images with the Paint Play series, which was something I developed from a few years back. So you get, if you want something a bit more accessible, there's the prints going on there.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks. Thanks for that. So any last words, like for anyone out there, you know, perhaps any words of wisdom for anyone struggling about this situation?
I would just say that this thing at the moment is a great leveler. Nobody has the answers quite about how things are going to be reset on the other side of this. So now is the time to write your own path with this. Write your own rules. I think that it's going to be the people who are innovative and, you know, actually adapt and actually are brave and forthcoming for the next bit in the art world, in which, you know, how to get your work out there. Don't be scared, just create. Nothing comes from nothing, so make something and see what happens. Reach out, connect with people. I would say, for me personally, I have a great feeling at the moment of what I call it like a call to action. You know, I've had a time of freeze, grief, confusion and reevaluation, and now it's more like a call to action in the sense that it's so important, art right now. You know, we're going through some really difficult times, and art is where we can lose ourselves, where we can discover ourselves, where we can put something back. Art is what shows human spirit. You know, it's how we show evolution. It's how we show that we're intelligent creatures. It's everything to me, but it's so important to put that out there for people. I feel the call to action, a big, bold, strong, as in I'm not going to be made small by this virus. I don't want to be squashed. I don't want to make my work small and accessible and how can I do this, whatever. My big, bold paintings are going to be like that, you know, like that to this. I'm not having it. I'm going to be more me than ever before, because carpe diem, seize the day. That's how I feel now coming through to the other side of this.
I think that's a beautiful note to end on, Emma.
All right.
Cool. I appreciate your words.
Thank you. I hope it was not completely nonsensical.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. You did yourself. You did you. Thanks again for your time. And I'll send you a link to this when it's all edited and everything. Okay, yeah, you can edit out all the waffly bits. This brain is so non-linear. It's like you ask me a question and it's like, you know, I could probably express myself more in paint blobs, noises, and strange dancing movements out of the 90s, but probably not in any coherent linear sentences. So yeah, sorry about that. No, it was perfect. No, it was wonderful, and it'll be super inspirational to people watching this. Thanks again. I hope so. Yeah, no, definitely, most definitely. Thanks again for your time, Emma. All right. And let's keep in touch. We'll catch up. You know, I'd like to see your studio as well. Yeah. I'm going to hold you to that. You're going to come and see me, and yeah, I will. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And guys, if you want to know anything more, if you just want to reach out and contact me, or if you want any advice at all, will try my best to respond to you. And so yeah, just find me on Instagram or whatever, Facebook. Okay. Perfect.